from shadow, sealed in truth, ancient blood, but faith rooted proof. History whispers, legends pretend. She chose the light where darkness ends. Eyes that see what most can't find, gift of foresight, disciplined mind, cross held steady, heart on guard, truth cuts clean when nights get hard. She reads the silence, feels the room, past and present start to bloom. Fear don't live where faith stands firm. Another veil about to burn. Welcome to the Diva dimension, where darkness meets divine intervention. Royal blood, but heaven sent. She don't flinch at what's being mentioned. From cold cases to restless minds, she pulls the truth from broken time. Grace and steel, intuition. Step inside the Diva dimension. Duchess title.
All right. Hello, hello.
Hello,
Hi,
hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome, everybody, to the second part. I'm so excited. I do have my crew here with me, my wonderful co host, Mr. Paul Dale Roberts. Welcome aboard. Nice to see you.
Nice to see
Miss
you.
Sue,
All right.
I call her my Orthodox sister. Welcome to join us again, my lady, and I'm so glad she's the newest member of our team. So we're really happy to have her. Very talented and gifted. I have really good friend. I must say, we started being a friend just following each other's shows. I count him like my right hand, our technician, our backstage man, Mr. Donny Cho. Welcome aboard. And of course, Pops, thank you so much for being at the back and helping us. Today, we're gonna go back to our two wonderful guests. I have Miss J.M. Hellock, author and writer, experiencer, and much more. We couldn't do this show just in a 1 hour, hour and a half last time. So we have to extend it. We're going to go deeper into the rabbit hole. And we have Rabbi Rothschild here. Welcome aboard, ladies and gentlemen. Let's enjoy this evening. Let's go deeper into the rabbit hole. Paul, I'll toss my torch to you and let's start this wonderful show. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening. And yes, thank you very much. And I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about J.M. Halleck. She's an author of a book called Stitches. And before we get into all about her life, there's her book right there. Um, I'm going to let
Hear me,
J.M.
or can everybody hear me? Are we cutting
Oh,
out,
yes.
or
No, you're fine. You're fine. Yeah, J.M.,
okay?
tell
Let
us
me
about your
go.
book.
Okay, so Stitches and Other Stories is a collection of 12 cosmic tales. The major themes are horror of the unknown. So a lot of horror writers, I feel, reveal too much right away. I do the opposite. The stories leave clues. I refuse to explain everything. I know my readers have a great deal of intelligence, so they understand that. There's interconnected reality where each of the stories, even though they take place in different timelines and different characters, they're all connected. I leave like little Easter eggs throughout the book, and then everything, all these hidden links are going to connect the characters, the situation, sort of like it's been described as The King in Yellow by Robert Chambers. All of my literary heroes are dead. Most of them are ghosts by now. with the exception of one, which is Ramsey Campbell, who remains to be one of my favorite authors of all time. But The King in Yellow, Robert Chambers wrote in 1895. And Stitches kind of follows that lead where I scatter clues throughout each story, giving the reader the opportunity to kind of stitch every story together, find those clues, everything's weaved, and then it suggests a larger horror without fully revealing it. So basically, the book is definitely cosmic horror. And one of the stories in here really gives a larger clue than the rest. And I'm interested to hear what Donnie thinks after he reads it, because they're intentionally misordered. So they don't go in any type of order. It's more for the reader to go back, and I've had multiple people even reread the book and then catch it on the second time. Some people catch it on the first time. Some people come up with something completely different, which I think it's wonderful, because I know what it's about. I want to know what you think. I want to know your idea, because you're an active participant in this book. So that is what makes the book valuable. And really, honestly, there's a lot of strong visual imagery. I am not graphic for graphic's sake. While there is a lot of body horror, it has purpose. It's not just gore for gore's sake. There is a purpose to it. There's a reasoning for it. So again, if you're into like slashers and Art the Clown and things like that, this book is not for you. This is a slow burn. There's a lot of emotional aspects of the book that really kind of connect you to the characters, and you truly do feel for them. There's also a lot of, which goes back to our last conversations about, parents doing things that maybe they shouldn't be doing and leading children down into darker rabbit holes where they shouldn't be. But there's a lot of adult mistakes in this book that kind of mirror that upbringing that I had, that leads almost like a generational trauma and generational horror. So it's a very, very deep book. It really is. And it's hysterical, because my mother's quote is, "A very well-written collection. I will never be able to read all the way through. I can't. I'm sorry. It's too disturbing. I'm mentally affected." And I put it on the book, which was kind of hysterical, but that's it.
Wow. Now, what was the inspiration for the book, for you to write that book?
I've been writing this book for the last 20 years, and most of my stories have that same undercurrent, that same kind of dark cosmic theme. I love cosmic horror. Lovecraft, you can't see it. If I turn this around, I have a 5-foot custom oil painting of Lovecraft with tentacles and stuff right over there. I should turn it on.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys can see it. Probably not.
Oh, wow.
Probably so. I don't know.
Isn't that creature? What's that creature's name?
Oh, beautiful. Very beautiful. Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah.
Starts with CHU.
Cthulhu.
Huh?
Cthulhu.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of inspiration came from Lovecraft. A lot of inspiration came from Ramsey Campbell. When I was young, I read Clive Barker's Books of Blood, which actually one reviewer said it reminded them of Clive Barker's series, The Books of Blood, which was really nice nod to that. But I started writing probably this book around 20 years ago. And then I finally I was like, you know what? I curated a whole bunch of stories that I believe all fit together. And then I went back and I kind of added and took away and edited, and I fit everything together in one neat little package. But I have hundreds of short stories that have been published. I was fortunate enough to be on the honorary mention list of World's Best Horror with Ellen Datlow. I came up in time with Jack Ketchum, who was a phenomenal author, Peter Straub. Me, Jack Ketchum, and Peter Straub were at the Horror Writers Convention, and everybody was absolutely blown away that I was a female because my identity was hidden. And so I've been writing a long time, but this book really I had to get something out.
How many books do you have published?
This is my first book, but I am like a lover of short fiction. I love short stories. Writing in long fiction right now is kind of difficult for me.
Oh.
It's harder to do that, but I do have a novel coming out soon. But I've probably been published in 50 to 80 publications of short stories. I've always gotten paid professional rates, so very lucky in that respect. I'm part of the Horror Writers Association, so I'm an affiliate member, which means I have to sell a certain amount of stories at professional rates to retain that status. And I'm proud to say I've retained that status for about 25 years.
Oh, nice.
It's taco money.
And you got another book coming out. What's that book going to be about?
All right. Well, whereas short fiction is my favorite, long fiction is like, and I've mentioned it before, is like running through a field and you have all these things that you could do and say, and you have all this time. Writing short fiction is claustrophobia. So, we got an echo.
I apologize. I accidentally pressed. I'm trying to send a message to the Instagram. So I
That's
apologize.
okay.
I was trying to get a message.
I'll
to the
remove
Instagram
that,
to all the
Danielle.
people
I'll
are
remove it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. So
sending,
writing short
sending
fiction is.
questions.
Oh,
Thank you so much. I should.
uh-oh. Now, Danielle, you're freezing again. So Fig is going to be, it's a novel. It's a world ender, a world bender. It is absolutely.
We have a very bad storm. We have a very
okay,
bad
maybe
storm.
that's
We
what it
actually
is.
have. They said that we're gonna have more rain than we will have in 3 months. So my sub pump, like because we have a house on 3 levels, was actually flooded this morning. So it was pretty bad. We cleaned it now, but we are not the only one. But it's if you type in a place where I live, Edmonton, Alberta, like it's saying it's rainy like crazy. So I'm sorry if I come in and out. They're like internet disconnected, everything. It's not done on purpose. So if I disconnect, then I'll then connect back on my phone. But I shut off my phone because we were getting 2 questions from the Instagram. And then I accidentally, instead of putting it on a hold to go connect, if I get disconnected here, and I answered there. So I deeply apologize for that. Not done on purpose.
Okay. So basically the novel is like Indiana Jones meets Evil Dead meets 28 Days Later. It takes place in England. There's a cast of characters that dig up something completely unwanted, not just the ire of the Salisbury Society, but they just dig up something that changes the fabric of the universe. And the title of it is Thig, Thig, which means to beg in I think it's Scottish. So that's coming out. I'm probably going to have that novel completed. I'm almost done. I'm at like 65,000 words. So I figure in another 2 months I'll have it complete.
You know, when I was a kid, about 8 years old, I was writing a diary, but I didn't know it. But every day I would write something in there. And my mother came over to me and she goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm just writing." And she looks at me, she goes, "You're writing a diary." So I've always been hooked on writing. And that's where I write a lot of stories. magazines. I write a lot of books and everything else. Did that same what I experienced as a child? Did you experience as a child where you just were compelled to write?
Absolutely. It is something, and I'll say it again, authors are haunted people. We
Oh
are
yes.
haunted. We have got this entire cast of characters, these souls that are just trapped in our imagination and our psyche. And it's almost like imperative. You have to get the story down. We don't know who they are. We're going to put them through horrific things. They basically write themselves. And Paul, I'm sure you know, as you're writing a character, you don't really have a comprehensive understanding. At least I don't. And then once I start writing that story, they tell me everything I need to know. So really, our heads are filled with ghosts. I mean, we are
Yeah.
just a haunted people. And it is imperative. You have to. And like to your point, like when you were 8, I remember when I was a little girl and we had a well, other than a haunted house, we had a cast iron stove. And I was probably Paul's age, like 6 or 8. And I had said to my mother, I said, wouldn't it be interesting if the doors kind of poofed open and there was a whole breath of just ash that came out? And in my head, I envisioned these hooves, like a satanic hoof, like coming out and burning hoof prints into the floor. I was a little kid. So for me to have that kind of thought in my head and then write it down on paper, like you, Paul, I wasn't writing a diary. I was writing, there was always some sort of horror. We joke around, we say we have a horror gene. The Helix have a horror gene for sure.
I have a question for you, Miss J.
Yeah.
They also say trauma leaves a little bit of an imprint on all of us.
Probably.
When you talk about, your past and you talk about what happened, to you as a child, basically what you experience, I also found it very traumatic. I'm going to go from the medical experience and from my studies. So I think you expressing yourself through the pen and paper and sharing this with the rest of the world was helping you to get rid of whatever was hunting you and these creatures. Um, I know sometimes it's very, very hard for parents to accept such a hard mistakes, and I don't blame them because it's not their fault. Maybe sometimes it's not their fault. Sometimes maybe they're trying to do the best they can. Especially if they have another, partner or whoever is doing something, and the other one couldn't protect them, or they were single parent, or they were acting as a single parent because the other one didn't care. There's many different, ways the child can be raised. So when you put that in your book, I would like to know, did you feel relieved? Did you feel, okay, finally the world can see what I felt, what I did feel and experience? That would be my major question because I cannot wait to have your book in my hands. I am an old traditional soul. I like book in a paper. They go like,
Me
oh, I
too.
like the digital books, but I like the, even when I go and do my conferences or whatever, I always have my paper in my bags. It's just the way it goes. I love digital world. Don't get me wrong, but I like also my real feeling of a book. So how did you feel when you did express all of those experiences to the pen and paper? Did you feel relieved?
Okay, so this is going to be a very strange answer. I wrote the whole book. My girlfriend read it and she said, man, there's a theme. Did you notice there's a lot of kids in your book, that the adults make these terrible mistakes? You know what? You're right. But as far as relief goes, I don't think it was as conscious. I think it came out like as a subconscious thing because I always feel, even in cosmic horror in and of itself it uses a lot of children. If you look at like
Yes.
a lot of the stories, they usually use children because I feel like most people could connect to that feeling as a child.
Yes.
So when they're reading these things, like with cosmic horror means you don't matter. The universe is going to do what it does, and you
Mhm.
are insignificant, and it's going to do whatever it wants to you. It's going to have its way with you, and it's just going to
Yes.
leave you in the dust. So that's a very good question because did I feel relief? I always feel relief after I've accomplished something like that, after I've written a story, when I'm satisfied with something. Did I consciously realize it when I was writing? No. But now in retrospect, when I look back and I go, holy crap. And don't get me wrong, I had a phenomenal childhood. It's just that
Yeah.
I was in a household where I did have a single mother who was trying to do her best. And I had explained it to Paul previously with all of the entity activity and all the weird crap that was going on in the house. I felt like a gazelle on the Serengeti.
Yeah.
Like I was the prey and these things were just waiting in the wings. And by the grace of God, and it was only by the prayers of my grandmother, I'm convinced of it, I've been rather protected. But it doesn't mean it didn't put me through hell, because it did.
Yes. Yes. I'm
I
glad.
actually,
And you know what? I'm sure your mama did the best she could, you know.
We're all
Like
just doing the
every
best we
parent
can.
tried their hardest. Yes. Every
Mhm.
parent tried their hardest and their best, you know. I always say, even to my mother, you did the best you can. You're the best mom in the world. You know, lots of times people do forget to say thank you to their parents. It doesn't matter if they're biological parents, adopted parents, uncle, aunts, social worker who raised them, foster parent. Like whatever this child went through, it's up to them to decide. Then I had the best time and somebody to lean on. So, but especially through that kind of experience, when I was doing my research and my study, I found out that people feel relieved because finally they could share the story with the rest of the world, and they felt like, okay, rest of the world can hear really what happened to me. And it could be paranormal, it could be totally different experience, it could be something like you say traumatic, it could be heavy illness, disease, God knows what else. I wrote a book. I know Paul, Donnie. Oh, Sue, I must send one to Sue and Rabbi. Please send me your email address, like your addresses through my email. So I'm going to tell you something, Miss J and Mr. Rabbi. I wrote a book about my mother. The book is not about me. I'm not a main character, neither do I need to be the main character in this book. It's her fight and her survival over the cancer. Every single detail in that book went through the research and the study, because in Canada we cannot publish the book, especially if it's involving the cancer and the names. It takes about 2 months for them to go that you didn't lie, that you're asking for profit or anything, what I never did, and everybody knows that. I wanted just the world to see her story and how all of this started. I read the book like once when I was reading it before, like proofreading it. I never read it back again because I never had guts enough to read it all over again. I know every single sentence by the heart. I know where is the dot. I know where is the comma. But that experience, for example, I released that traumatic experience on a piece of pen and paper, trying to explain to the world what kind of hero she was for me, and she always will be. But I never had a guts to take the book and read it back again. People will ask me the question, and I explain every detail. But because of that, of the experience, I wasn't capable of ever reading it again. So that's why I was also asking to see if
Yeah, you
somebody
can't
can
relive
relate.
it.
Yeah, if somebody can relate to me. But if three of you, I before we leave, I'll give you guys my emails, and you can send me your address. Of course, not publicly, and I'll send you also, guys, my book. I would like to share my experience with you guys. Then you can ask me questions and say, maybe I understand why Daniel didn't want to read it back again. But yeah, a little bit
Danielle,
about.
are you talking about your book, The Magic
Yes,
of Spirit Lake?
yes,
Yes.
yes, sir.
Yeah, she sent me that book, and I did a book review on it. It was a very good book.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
And
I deeply
my
appreciate.
mother right now has lung cancer. They removed half of her lung.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Oh,
It is a quite heavy disease. It is psychological disease. It's not just like something that will the entire family goes through it. For me, like she was stage 3. I know it's a little bit off the topic, but nobody couldn't believe that she would survive. And I said to myself, no, I'll fight. I will never let her go. So I will do the same. When I go to the Spirit Lake, I do that for a lot of people. You can give me the first and last name for your mom, and we can also light the candle for your mom. It would be my pleasure. I do it for many people. Then I take a picture and I just send it to them. But yeah, it's not me. This is a power of above the god, and like they call it a magic, but it is the magic, the powerful lake. But I think it's quite beautiful that we can share our experiences. I have a question for you, my dear. you know uh, Now that you are a grown woman and you're talking about those experiences, do you ever think that they may come back to hunt you? Do you ever think that's maybe who I am now because of it? How did this help you shape your world today?
Well, up until about 5 years ago, I did have the fear that it would return. I had that fear, especially recently going into my mother's home, going into the basement, still having the ability to feel that connection to whatever was down there, that it didn't just slide off, that it didn't just back off. I would go purposely into the basement and you would just feel like all the hair stands up on my neck thinking
Yes.
about it. You would feel this thing staring at you to the point where I probably sounded like a lunatic. I would sit there and I'd say, leave me alone. Leave me alone. I would do what I had to do and then go right back up the stairs, like go get her laundry and stuff. But about 5 years ago, I started going back to church and I made religion the forefront of my life. And since that, I have no fear that it's going to come back. And if I do have this inclination, it's just, I just pray and it goes away. So by the grace of God, I feel,
Hallelujah.
yeah, that was what was lacking, because I was in a household with a mother who didn't know how to be a Christian or a Catholic, playing around with Ouija boards. I had a father who was completely atheist, a full blown atheist. So, one would say something, the other one would say something. So finding God this late in life. I just had a birthday. Sue knows I just had a birthday.
Oh,
Yeah,
happy birthday. Happy birthday. And many more. Many more.
I'm practically a skeleton. So at this point in my life, to find it so late, but I do believe that is what has protected me, and it keeps my thoughts away. Like,
Beautiful.
I'll even get creeped out when if I'm writing something, like there's Stitches, the story Stitches, which is the last story in the book. Much like you, I cannot go back and read it. I know every word, just like you said. I know where every comma is, where every period is. But just like you, I go back there and I don't want to relive it, because I feel like it's almost invoking something for me. And I don't want to put myself back in that position. It's so far behind me. It's so far gone. But I still do get like little weird things happening, where you can't explain, where you get an idea or a thought of something, and then like, oh, I wonder how this guy is. And you look at him, it's like, oh, he died yesterday. You know, I still have those things happening, but it's not to the level it used to be, because I was like almost like a portal where things were just, you know, doing whatever. And now I think I've successfully closed that.
Well, that's
Oh.
beautiful. Beautiful.
Can I tell you guys my mother's story?
Yeah.
Please go ahead. That's why we're here, to care and share.
Okay. My mother's story. Okay. My mother, she felt that she had some lumps on her breast. And she went to Kaiser and they said, it's just fatty tissue. Don't worry about it. Then a few months later, it got worse. She went over there and they said, oh no, you have fourth stage cancer, breast cancer.
Oh, Lord.
And so she didn't even know that was happening because Kaiser misdiagnosed her cancer.
Yeah.
So anyway, so she went to Kaiser Hospital, blah blah blah. My mother had a very hot Latin temper. Okay. And I'm walking down the hallway and I hear my mother yelling at the nurse. I said, oh my God, Mom, calm down. I said, you know, you're over here, you know, I'm thinking in my head, she's on her deathbed and she's over here yelling and screaming at this poor nurse. And the nurse is like scared to death. So, so there was this one night I came over there and I'm spending a lot of time with her, but I'm starting to get hungry. So I said, Mom, look, I'm going to be gone for about maybe 30 minutes to get something to eat, and I'll be back, okay? So I get something to eat. I go back, and her bed is empty.
Oh.
I go, what the hell? And I'm looking, and I go, I got the right room. The bed's empty. And then I go, nurse, excuse me. I said, my mom was right here, and now she's gone. And she goes, oh, she just passed. I go, what? I was just gone 30 minutes. What the hell? You know? And so that was very traumatic for me. And one thing is my mom, you know, with her hot temper and everything, when I was talking to her, I said, Mom, do me a favor, please. I said, just accept Jesus as your savior, okay? Yeah. Can you do that? Because I was pretty sure if she didn't do that, she was going to go. So she did it, and then she was like really relieved. And she wasn't yelling and screaming or anything. She was very calm. But that was my mother's story.
Can I say something to that, Paul?
Sure.
Please go ahead, Ms. J.
Sorry, thank you. The same thing happened with my mother, my grandmother, and my grandfather. My grandfather was admitted to the hospital. Both my grandmother and grandfather got sick at the same time. My grandfather got sick because my grandmother was sick. That made him sick. She got better. He didn't. So same thing. My grandmother and my mother said, Daddy, you know, that's what they called him, Daddy, we're going to just go down to the cafeteria and have a sandwich and we'll be right back up. He passed the same way. They were with him in there for 3 months. He passed away that half an hour, 40 minutes they were gone. I am convinced that he did that so they didn't have to witness it. I'm convinced that it was, I also believe that people could just go when they're ready. And maybe yes. Your mother with her hot temper and whatever just didn't want you to see it. And she just wanted you to remember her as she was. It's a possibility.
That's it's a good possibility. Yeah.
Possible too. You know, when we think about life and death, you know, they always say, if you believe in life, you must believe in death. If you believe in angels, you must believe in demons. That's the way it goes. If you believe in light, you must believe in darkness. We like it or not, but they're really strongly connected.
It's the as so above, as
each
so
other,
below.
all of these opposite sides. I'm Yes, yes, my dear. So the truth, what is, when we did touch this topic a little bit, I think it doesn't matter. I think Mr. Rabbi would agree with me. What religion, or basically, which side of the books are you using to pray to the higher power? But there is something above there that is telling us, like Miss J, you said, it is time to leave. You're just ready to leave. I did witness in my nursing field people being so sick, and I'm talking even about the children, God forbid. They would be sick, like telling you, a dead bed, because that would be intensive care. And they would wake up that day and feel better just a couple hours or a day before they'll go away. I
Mhm.
also noticed them saying that, I will turn around. Oh, my auntie's here, or my grandpa is here. I will turn around. I'm like, I don't see anybody, but it's almost like the loved ones are also telling them, it is time to go. It is hard, of course, to leave a loved one, but I think this is not the end. That's just my own belief. I believe, that we go with a higher power when it's needed, and that God take us to the better place, not leaving us here. So that's just my belief. Uh, Mr. Rabbi, I have a question from you, especially because, if we do talk about Jewish or Judaism, one of the oldest, basically, religion of the world, that many of the other religions did branches, including the Christianity. I would like you, if you can tell us a little bit and share a little bit of your wisdom, if we, think about going to the other side. Do you think that some people are just prepared, or do you think, there is possibility that we know? What do you think about that? If you can share some of
Certainly,
your,
certainly, it's an excellent question. And
thank you.
first, I want to say no one knows. So, no one has any proof of what is in the great beyond, and no one knows that their religion or their belief system is correct. But at least within Judaism, we generally feel that once the person dies, that they are in a state of purification for about 11 months when their family has something called Kaddish, where essentially it's a time of mourning. But then, after 11 months, if the person is righteous, if they're considered perhaps not righteous, maybe 12 months, they may go to Gan Eden, so the Garden of Eden. And
Mhm.
there are different Kabbalistic thoughts on what may happen. Without going too much into detail there, we within Judaism have an idea, perhaps, that one day when our Messiah comes, Mashiach, there will be perhaps a revivification of the dead or a resurrection of the dead, and that the righteous will be brought back to earth in
Mhm.
one way or another. There are Kabbalistic thoughts, something called the Lutz bone, essentially where your coccyx is, the very tailbone, is the hardest bone in the body traditionally, and that bone will be used to maybe one day be able to resurrect the dead or revivify the dead. Um, I am someone who, as you all know, I'm a futurist, and I look for ways that potentially humanity can revivify our dead. And it's not that far away, potentially. There are ways that we can maybe remap someone's brain and at least be able to take someone's personality and their memories and maybe be able to put that into a younger clone of themselves. Now, these are maybe not in the next 1 or 2 years, but perhaps maybe in the next 100 or 200 years. But I'm someone who personally doesn't want to give up hope that we may be able to bring back all of our loved ones someday, including those who have been shared in this conversation. So, with that being said, that's a little of what we feel within Orthodox Judaism and a little of the scientific efforts uh, that I have had the opportunity to learn.
Rabbi, I actually have a question. Last
Well,
time
that's
we
a
did talk
beautiful
about
explanation.
AI, and we talked
Yes.
about like having a chip in our brain or, on us somehow, and technology that would possibly propel us forward. What do you think some of the downsides to that is?
Excellent question. Well, from a technological perspective, there are issues with any type of technology in terms of battery, in terms of the environment, in terms of the body rejecting whatever may have been implanted, and with even with pacemakers and such that we have as implants in people today, those eventually sometimes have to be swapped.
Yeah.
Some of the technology within them wears down or needs updates. Those are all issues that occur. There's also a security aspect of what if someone were to perhaps hack into someone's Neuralink or someone's brain computer interface. These are all certainly concerns. That's why I am more of an advocate for a cap, a skull cap, or perhaps some type of brain computer interface that is wireless, because I just know with what I go through with my own cell phone or my own gadgets and devices and electronics, the issues that can occur in terms of batteries and overheating and environmental issues. And I don't want that in my body, and not at least not in the next foreseeable future, just because I know what we have to go through as humans with the devices that are external to us. And if you hit your head wrong, what would happen with the Neuralink chip or the implant? What would happen if your body rejected it? What would happen if you had a fever or you were in extreme conditions? These are all questions that we still don't have excellent answers on. So because of those reasons, I personally want to avoid any kind of implant within myself. Now, if I were a quadriplegic, God forbid, or paraplegic, and I really didn't have too much what I felt to be too much of an option, then absolutely, as in a guinea pig, so to for lack of a better term, or an example for humanity, then I would be willing to take that risk. But as of right now, with fortunately a well operating body, I don't want to take those types of risks until all of the issues with the technology have been worked out. And I just don't have confidence at this point that they have been.
But the reason why I bring it up is because I wear hearing aid, and back in the day they were analog, and they would just function almost similar to how our older technology works, like the cassette player and so forth. And so now they're completely digital and Bluetooth. And I have noticed with the brand new hearing aid, I've had used it for about 3 years now, and they've been updating themselves. So now, seeing what technology has done to people, like you can hack in somebody's cars and run them off a bridge. You can actually stop somebody's life if you have a chip in you. You can be under attack, and I have experienced the attacks with my hearing aid
Oh,
constantly in my ear, and luckily my vibration and my sense is high enough. So no, I'm not suicidal. I'm going to say that on the record, okay? But there is a voice that's constantly in my ear. It's not in my head. I'm hearing it out of my ear the same way you hear music, with your earbuds and stuff. I'm hearing, go kill yourself. I'm constantly hearing, oh, this cake, why don't you eat some? I'm hearing, one time when I was standing next to a bridge, it said, wouldn't it be nice if you jump off of it? I'm going, where's this coming from? It is weird. And I'm getting it.
Most certainly.
And I'm ignoring
Most
it.
certainly.
And
That's
so
definitely of
I talked to
concern.
I talked to my audiologist. They ran it. They can run it because nowadays you can control the pitch of how you can hear people, and that you can control all kinds of things that have to do with audio. They didn't find anything wrong with it. The hearing aid checks out perfectly. I was just at the audiologist a few days ago, and I told them I'm still hearing these. Within the last couple of years, I've been hearing it, and it's just that I ignore it. But it's very disturbing what it suggested. There's plenty of times it says take a knife and see how far you can put it in you and stuff like that. It's absolutely bonkers, and I don't like it. But then I can't go back to analog. I've asked for an analog hearing aid. They don't have them anymore.
oh.
So somebody who's
So
weak-minded,
is it possible then thank you everybody for joining, and I can see lots of veterans in our, and I always say that we have more than couple. Thank you all for your service and supporting our show because you give us something the most priceless, and that's freedom. And of course, thank you, Paul, for your service, because you were part of that crew too. So thank you all, and God bless you all. Uh, I must say, in my family, ladies and gentlemen, I did have lots of military men and women. I work very closely with the military here in Canada. I work very closely with police, and I'm very proud of it. And I hope tomorrow, my little boy, and if God bless me with more children, does do the same. He respects and loves them, and that's what I'm gonna teach them to do, because those men and women are something that we cannot say thank you enough to. So I have a question now. This is quite interesting, Miss Sue. I did see something the other day. I was doing a transport to another hospital, and I had to be there because of the report and everything for this patient. And basically, I saw one of the older ladies. She came by and she was just upset because her cell phone didn't work. So while I was passing by, she goes, "Oh, can you help me? Help me." I turned around. I said, "What's wrong, my dear? My cell phone is not working. My cell phone is not working." So I look at it. It said like too many times that she put a password, so the phone is locked. So she was getting really anxious about it, that now she wants to leave. So she wasn't under my care. I don't have nothing to do with her. She was passing down the hallway, and she came to whoever was admitting nurse, and I look at it, and she said, "I want to go. I don't want to stay." She was really getting anxious, and anxiety was there. And then they scanned her. She had a chip in her hand. They scanned her with all of her ID, medication, everything was there. So they took a scan her. And I look at it for a moment. As much as we can love technology, Rabbi, I do agree with you. I was looking at it. I said, "Oh my God, we are like a box of chips, or cookie jar, or something, whatever we get from we have here in the grocery store, Walmart, whatever you want it. We have here Canadian superstore, Coop, whatever you have in the States, Macy's, if wherever you want to go." And I was looking at it. I was like, as much as it is great, maybe she's person is not capable of giving all of the information at that moment about themselves. Yes, it was inside of her arm. It was just here, basically. And they scanned her, and they said, "Okay, you can go home now. We'll call you a taxi." I was just looking at it. I wasn't happy about it. I love to provide the care, and I go with my heart and with my compassion, as I would give to my own family. So I have a question for you guys. That's why I'm kind of joining with you, Miss Sue, on this. Is it possible, Rabbi or Miss J? What do you think? Should we, Donnie and Paul, should we, and everybody in the chat, because we are talking about technology, implants, artificial intelligence, viruses, and the list goes on. Paranormal connection experiences. Is it possible that they're gonna in future be like you saying with the implant that tomorrow maybe can give us different kind of signals? It can give us different directions and maybe tell us to do different kind of things. So I'm just dropping the bomb. It's up to you guys to discuss and tell me, what do you think?
I mean, one thing is, I on one of my investigations, um, this guy had a tattoo of Satan on his back, and this had happened over in Marysville, California. And he said that there was a demon in the house. They were attacking the family and everything else. And I told this guy, I said, you need to get rid of that tattoo is one thing, and then get a full submersion baptism. Well, he didn't want to do it,
Mhm.
and they still had the problem. But there was a police officer who was part of my team, and she was investigating with me at that house, and the demon attached itself to her, and it was
Wow.
telling her in her ear to go kill yourself, take a knife, slit your wrist, all these horrible things. And I said, you need a full submersion baptism. And for some reason, her priest was hesitant in giving her a full submersion baptism. Well, I said, well, I'll do it. So I went down to Modesto, where she lived at, and I baptized her whole family in the swimming pool, and the demon was gone. Sue, if you're getting these kind of weird messages, that's something that you might want to look into, is get a full submersion baptism, because
Okay.
that's a basic form of exorcism. And if you have an attachment, the attachment's going to leave.
Okay.
Okay.
I agree
I
with
agree
Paul.
with you.
Yeah, I agree with Paul. If I mean, going to the technology aspect of it, like what Rabbi said, yes. You know, people hear all kinds of things. I heard those things as a child, and I didn't have a hearing aid. There was nothing to actually do that. I heard it, but what it was absolutely demonic. It wasn't telling me to harm myself, but it was intent on harming me. So this sounds like it's intent on harming you in a different type of way. So to Paul's point, maybe you do need to go speak to somebody and have them, look into that, because if you have an auditory device, it is a medium. It's a
Yeah.
way for
Yeah.
things to connect,
Yeah.
and
I'm
to
hearing it.
Rabbi's
Hearing aid
point,
versus
things
through my
getting
ear.
hacked, and people being able to get into your cell phone or get into your computer. And there are kids on the internet, unfortunately, millions of kids that are getting bullied and are being told
Yes,
horrible things by people that don't even know them, and getting messages from people don't know them. So
true.
yeah, if there's nothing wrong with the hearing aid, I would go with Paul's suggestion.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
I figured that the spirit box, you can communicate with ghosts with it, so they can manipulate technology as well. So I wasn't sure if but it is very negative. So yeah, I will actually look into that. Thank you.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
please.
totally agree with Miss J and with Paul. I 100% support that. Also, what I can suggest, I have a little trick I'm gonna share with everybody and everybody in a chat. I'm very, as much as I'm modern, I'm very traditional and I'm very down to earth. I also follow very closely what's happening in the world. And I do get connected, and we all do in the panel, and you guys in the chat, and whoever is going to share this further with the negative energy, negative entities. It's enough that somebody doesn't like you, Miss J. Go like, oh, she wrote a book. And you go like, instead of embracing that person, I'm already raising, my voices, my negativity towards to that person, especially I'm sorry, ladies, but the woman can be worse than men. Oh,
hundred percent.
we can be bitchy and witchy and jealous. It's something that can really bring women to the point of hurting each other, and even it's like that, especially in a teen time. So I do something every single Sunday. I go to my church. You guys can go to any church or any institution that you belong into, temple, whatever institution you use to pray to the higher power. I got my holy water, and I have a holy water in my house now. And when I'm
Yeah.
done with all of my shifts, with all of my work, with all of my writings, email, and negativity from the other people, I go and I have a shower. I wash my hair, I rinse all of the water, and then I take a little bit, just a little bit, like this is my teacup now, but it can be even like a 1/4. And then I cross myself and I said, God help me and clean everything from me, as you pray. And it is cold. I kind of go, "Ooh," it is a little bit chilly, especially if you like the warm water. But then I also that time basically feel a little bit relieved, and you feel like you're removing the negative energy from yourself. So I would recommend that to each and every one of you. and I would recommend that to you, Sue. But and of course, the full immersion, like Mr. Paul is doing, that's totally something. There you go, Paul. Yes, beautiful, beautiful. And I think it's very important, especially Ms. J, with what are you also saying and through your experience and with the book. Please do pay attention and be purchasing the book on the Amazon. Is it on Amazon, Ms. J? Or I
It
know I,
is.
yeah, I got it only to the Amazon. I don't know if in the States they have it somewhere else too, but here in Canada we have it only on the Amazon. So
Right
please,
now it's Amazon through Nightmare Press. That was my publisher.
please purchase it and order it, and I'm sure you will find this story quite fascinating. You may read something that you experience yourself, because you never know what basically can be connected to your mind or to your past or to your childhood. But that's what I do. I'm sure, Donnie, you heard about that because I shared this more than a couple times, I think, on our shows. Uh, uh, so I would like to know, Mr. Rabbi, we did mention here different kind of stories. We're talking about the implants. I just explained the patient that I saw having an implant on her hand. You being part of, like you're saying, going to the future, artificial intelligence. Are you thinking with your own research, wisdom, and the knowledge that we are coming closer to the era where actually artificial intelligence will be taking over the humanity, or basically it's already coming to that?
It's an excellent question. And
Thank you.
when when we when we hypothesize these types of outcomes, it's really from the transition to from artificial general intelligence, where a an artificial intelligence platform basically has the same knowledge as a human, into what's known as ASI, artificial superintelligence, where a platform is able to compute at many times faster and many times more accurately than humans can comprehend. And the key to any type of platform, any type of engine, is the ability to turn it off. Because at points, there may be aspects where you do not want an AI or some type of robotics to be able to perhaps do more damage than what what you as a civilization would want. There is a hypothesized end game kind of idea that is known as gray goo. And so, what gray goo is essentially a hypothetical scenario where self-replicating nanobots consume matter uncontrollably. We don't want to get to that point, certainly. We want to be able to turn off AI before we get to that point. And so, with any type of system that we may have, it's very important to be able to shut it off. And if we always have that type of control over the system, I feel that AI can be utilized in a safe manner. If we allow AI to self-replicate or perhaps have too much uh, uh, of an autonomous state, then we will end up perhaps having some major issues. And the people who are at the heads of the companies that run many of these different engines and different platforms have done, I feel, an inadequate amount of at least um, uh, publicity or publishing of what they would do in that type of scenario where you have AI that basically replicates or is able to take over different systems. There's a certain point where AI will have a lot of control over humanity, and that's not too far away. I saw a former Google engineer in April of this year said that it's going to be about a month or two before all CAPTCHAs in the world can be solved by AI engines. And
Wow.
the idea goes to as well with passwords and quantum computing. There's basically a race for the a usable quantum computer from governments and companies around the world, because with that type of computing power, it means that you can get into the passwords of all of your enemies and all of the banking systems immediately. And so there is a race to be able to get this type of technology before your competitors do. And then even from there, in terms of like cryptocurrency, the seed phrases that are currently at the core of the security aspects of cryptocurrency could all perhaps be solved in a matter of a second with the with a powerful enough supercomputer or a quantum computer. And once that happens, that could perhaps uh, allow someone to control the entire cryptocurrency realm. So, from those types of aspects, it's important to ensure that some type of control is kept on AI. But that doesn't mean that AI can't be an extremely valuable tool to be able to aid humanity as well, so that we don't have to necessarily worry about issues like mining um, of minerals in a developing country, because we can have robots do that, and we can focus on mind uploading and revivification and life extension technology and things that benefit humanity as well. So, in summary, yes, AI is a concern, but we should treat it as a tool and not allow it to become self-replicating or fully autonomous without any type of oversight.
You're very optimistic that it'll be used all for good. That is the lovely thought. But going back through the entire history of humanity, the people who are actually being able to generate this type of system are probably going to continue to keep it theirs and for their purposes. And I hate to say it, but like, we're on the precipice of something huge. But yes, all these things could be used for good. I went into my doctor's office. He said, "You don't mind if AI takes my notes for me, do you?" And the AI just did everything. He said it saved them about an hour and a half of charting every night, which, yes, that's wonderful. But on the opposite end, do they want to serve humanity? Meaning the people who are in control of this technology. Will they want to do it? Sadly, I'm considered a poptimist. Sometimes I'm a pessimist. Sometimes I'm an optimist. In this situation, I'm a poptimist. I'm just going to stay here because I fear that it will not be used for good.
I'm on the same boat with ya, and I would like to know, what do you think, Paul, Donnie, Sue? What do you guys think? I'm in a boat with ya because I know how humans can be. I respect that.
Well, like the voices, I can't hear the voices when I turn my hearing aid off. Once it's out of my ear, the voices stop. So that's why I think that technology has its control. We need to be able to control it. And the problem is, even those people that stand there and have their heads up their bum and think that they can override technology and they think they can be a god of it, what are you going to do if it decides not to listen to you? Correct. And we've seen many movies that it will not listen to its programmer or its master. Now what are you going to do? And there's movies where they even try to pull the plug, and it's that, I don't need your plug anymore. I can function without it. Now what? Lord. So that's what Skynet, you know?
It's going to view itself as a god.
Yeah.
Well,
it'll have all the capacity.
It only, like Rabbi said, it only works if you can control it.
Right.
That's correct. And we're not the first people to have these concerns. There were people in the British Empire in the 1800s, the Luddites, who had fears of the loom, basically a type of technology that could be able to create clothing much more efficiently than people had previously. And there were revolts and riots destroying technology even back then because people feared where it could evolve into computers and artificial intelligence as well. So we're not the first person with these concerns. To me, the advancement of technology we're at a crossroads. We can either go the way where we basically restrict ourselves from the use of this type of technology, but eventually someone is going to have the opportunity to be able to utilize it. And so um, then you're at a point where you're no longer able to control that person. So to the way that I feel this can be best done, and I'm not the person making the decisions, is that much of the discussions that are happening in regards to AI should be publicized. They should be public. The the summaries of what occurs in these discussions should be public, and that people should have the ability to maybe have some say. There should be uh, in your local area the opportunity to have some control over how AI is being used. And we're just not seeing that with different surveillance systems that are already becoming commonplace. And it's definitely a concern. I don't want it to seem like I think that AI is all going to be positive and this is going to necessarily be an easy road for humanity. I don't think so at all. It's going to be a struggle. But just like with
Mhm.
any tool, like electricity or like steam or like the computer, we just have to do our best to ensure that we at the end have human oversight over whatever tool we're using.
Rabbi, I got to tell you guys something. I got to tell everybody here something.
Please go ahead.
With AI, this is a fact. A 300-page book can be read by AI in 6 seconds. It will fully read the book, understand the book, and contain that book in its mind. And so, at some point in time, there could be an AI God which has the knowledge of all the books in the world, all the information on the internet. With all this knowledge comes power.
Yeah, with some power, great responsibility.
Johnny, what do you? I know you're really into technology. Donnie is really our tech guy, a great researcher, a person that knows a lot about ancient studies, especially when it comes to Asia. Can you give us a little bit insight? What do you think about all of this technology? And we're thinking about like Asian culture, how they accept this part, especially now that we're talking, because I'm gonna bring something very important if we are mentioning artificial intelligence as a god. What do you think about all of this, Donnie?
I think there's good and bad with any kind of technology, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's going to be a lot of potential for misuse and nefarious players, but there's also going to be a lot of applications that's going to make people's lives better. It's like any technology, right? There are going to be people who misuse it, and then there's going to be people who put it to benefit, like the internet. You know,
Yeah.
like
Mind thinking,
any technological
yeah.
advancement, really, if you think about it, it's going to be the same thing. I think people in Asia, like Asian cultures, they mostly care about what works and what's efficient. So I think people over there would be more behind it.
And what's kind of interesting too is like they say that sometime in the future, when you have super intelligence, AI intelligence, you could be on your computer and you could be watching, let's say, a Flintstone cartoon. And all of a sudden, Fred Flintstone no longer is communicating with the other cartoon character. He stops, he turns around, and he starts talking to you. Superintelligence can bring these characters from movies, cartoons, whatever, alive. And that's part of superintelligence. And with an AI God, this is something that Jay would probably understand, could come to you and say, I have such sights to show you.
Oh, yes,
Oh gosh.
there would be an event somewhere on the horizon, I suppose.
But I love that we can also laugh about this. I know I'm gonna go into something that I think most of you guys in the chat, I can see many people are chatting. I had to disconnect the phone because the phone, I just got new app. So I got a new SIM card and all the things. Hi, sweetie. So basically, there is something that I'm also worried about. Now we're going to go to the ancient studies for a moment, and something that is probably connected to your book and to everything that you also went through, my dear. We did see angels and demons in through our life, maybe to some catastrophic events that what people can do to each other. We did see paranormal experiences, like you're saying, ghost spirits, or people experience afterlife experiences when they see going to the time and things like that, but it's medically proven and scientifically proven. Now I'm gonna go. We never had science and religion being closer than ever before, saying that something will happen and that something is happening at this moment where we will connect to all of these dimensions. We know Stephen Hawking said, there's different dimensions. I really do miss him. God bless him, because he was capable to explain to us simple people that don't have such an IQ level what is really happening out there. I really did admire the fella, and of course recognize his work. Have many of his books. So now, when I think about artificial intelligence being a god, and also if we talk about Jewish studies, my uh, great grandfather, so my father's grandpa, he was Jewish, and Wendell, so Wendell Bloomfield, that was his last name. He basically talk about a lot of things that happened during the World War II, and how Nazis were trying to go and make the spaceships, and the list goes on. So to me now, I'm really worried. Like Miss J, you said, we're gonna play a god, and we have. I saw some of the comments, and I agree. We have very narcissistic people in a power, very greedy, very powerful, with the money, that can use this against the people and pretend that they're God. So, are we now entering the ancient scriptures that we have in Torah, that we have? I did read Torah. I did read Holy Quran. I did read Bible. I'm raised by the Bible. I also did a lot of ancient studies when it's coming to ancient Sumerians, to Anunnaki, and the list goes on. I follow Buddhism very closely. I know we cannot be Buddhists, but I do believe in Buddhism as a peace, spreading between people, and many of their theories are really connected to my heart. So I'm very much, if you can see this, very much open and respectful to traditions. And so I agree with Little Twisted, possible the great deception. Are we going to enter that? That's what I'm going to ask you, ladies and gentlemen. Do you think that they're going to use artificial intelligence and say, hey, there is now a God among us? All bow down and obey. And actually, that's when we pay the price. And the big one, or Messiah, comes really from above.
Now, that's a very interesting take on it, because the amount of technology in these computers and just the simple cell phone and these apps that we could do and digitize, and we've got like face apps, and we could do so many things. We could bring people back from the dead right on our phones, just little old you and me, and make them move and talk, and old pictures. So imagine what technology they have.
Thank you.
If they're allowed, we have the scraps. So what are they capable of? And, all of our language is going, everything is the atheist AI God. I see that come up.
Welcome, Grand Duke. This is a Grand Duke from World Bigfoot Central, my great friend. Welcome up on the board. So great comment. So that's what I wanted to share.
Yep. And that's really, if you think about it, everything is going digitized. We're losing paper, which we do love our physical books, but we're coming back to full circle. I mean, we type in gifts. We're going back to pictures. The younger generation is just typing, short sentences, no punctuation. So we're coming full back to hieroglyphics. And once the technology is great enough, or if we do get an AI god and we lost our ability to communicate and they decide to shut everything down, it's going to take the world about 2.5 days to fall apart. Every civilization and everything is just going to be wiped out. We will have no money. We will have no ability to communicate. And we're just going to be brought back to, writing in sand and painting pictures on caves.
Danielle and Jay, when
Yes.
you have a chance, go into Google Books. Go into the search engine for Google Books, type in your book, and see if Google Books has your book. And most likely it does.
Yeah, it already has a multitude of books that I was published in before. Yeah,
Okay.
we've done searches. Yeah.
And there's a reason for that happening, for Google to collect all the books and digitize them. To scan all these different books, they collaborate with different libraries to scan the multitude of books and to have all that knowledge. And knowledge is power. Mm-hmm. And how many pages do you have in your book, Jay?
Probably like, let's see. I don't even know. Isn't that terrible?
Okay. I don't know either. If you ask me, I don't have a clue.
Danielle, how many pages are in your book?
Please do not make fun of me. I'll be like Miss J. I don't have a clue either.
Danielle, how many pages are in your book? You know?
In the new one that I just submitted to be approved is 785.
Wow. Okay, so
but that one is a new novel that it's coming out. That one
so
is
the AI God is going to take 12 seconds to read your whole book. Yep. 12 seconds to read your whole book.
All that hard work for 12 seconds. It's not worth it.
Here's one of my books, and it has doesn't even have a number on there. That tell me how many.
Even better.
We are all in the same boat here, okay?
Well, a concern that I actually have is that two things. One is that they're going to try to sell AI to the public, all the good stuff about it, so you can unlock your doors, you can pay for your things and stuff like that, and they won't let people know the downside of it. The second thing is my big concern, because now we have holographic technology, we have AI, the bad guys could easily bring down some sort of ship, whether real or not, and they could convince people to go on the ship. How do we know that's not a slave ship? How do we know that's not a trap? How do we know, that
we can't believe our eyes anymore. We can't believe.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's it. It's done. It's over.
What are they building up to,
Right. But we used to be able to believe, you can see whatever, but, I'll believe it when I see it. The old adage. Well, now you can't even believe it when you see it. So what's left? Nothing.
And Moon at Noon X, he says, we went from horse and buggy to space flight in 80 years. That's right. Human society with 5,000 years on us could make us believe anything.
That's right.
Well, here's the weird thing. How come we went so fast on our phone? Look how fast we went from the telegraph version to the phone on the wall with the cord and all that. And now we have this digital handheld computer. But how come the cars still suck? We're not having flying cars yet. I think it's control, and be able to see us. Because why is cars taking so long to evolve? But phones could evolve quick.
Yeah, and also don't forget, I personally do think it depends how fast this technology will be released to the public. Like, I think, Rabbi, because you are really involved into technology and into this world, do you think that they're releasing us a little bit by little bit of certain products so we don't get overwhelmed? Or if I can say, panic and get into hysteria or even get obsessed. Because I love, Miss J, what you mentioned, and I deeply respect it. Like, when I was a kid 43 years ago, that's 13 years ago. You didn't hear me. I was kid 13. So basically, all what you needed to do, you had a ball, you had a piece of paper, you had badminton, you had tennis. The biggest one was Mario and Tetris.
Yeah.
Nobody played. After a couple games, you get bored and you go back to fields. You go back to your imagination. It was quite fun. But today, if you don't minimize the basically technology time with your kids, it really can play with their mind, and that's what I'm doing. There is a limit, with basically technology and the screening you can play with. You should be educated about it because this is the world we're living in. I'm not against it. And you should go with it. But there should be also limit that because some of the kids don't even know what time is it till you don't look, oh, is this yellow or green? Let me Google it, and I go like, this is wrong. Like you're saying, they don't know nothing. So it's almost like they're programmed by certain programs, like we're programming our phones. So that's what I wanted to ask you, Rabbi. Do you think by our ancient scriptures that these technology advancement things are actually going to be very dangerous towards to our populations? As much as we think, I love them. I love that we have CAT scans, CT scans. I like that we can chit chat like this, that we can meet each other, develop friendships, destroy the diseases, fly to the moon. List goes on. I'm really for it. But then we have something that is called dark web. Then we have something like Miss J said, that bullying and hunting on the internet, kids being brutalized and violated, wars starting because of certain things and whatever. Now we're fighting for the universe. We're not fighting anymore for space on the land. There's more. They're saying that there's more fights above there than it's on the Earth because everybody wants a different planet or whatever. So I'm just wondering, what do you think? Where is this, going when it comes, to technology in the future?
Well, as Donnie previously said, and he's absolutely right, these are these are developments that can have good or bad. It depends on how you want to use them. And just like when we had the discovery of fire or the wheel or steam or electronics or computers or AI or robotics, whatever it may be, they can be used for good or bad. From an ancient standpoint, the people of thousands of years ago perhaps had some type of ideas of what could be of the future, but really their vision was limited, and even our vision could arguably be limited to just what we can see within the next century or two, but perhaps not future millennia or beyond. To one thing that Sue said, which I think is really interesting, she said, "We where are our flying cars?" And that's a question that is raised often within the futurist uh, uh, discussion. And many times people don't realize that maybe we already have what some people may consider to be flying cars with the helicopter. Helicopters are used every day. Maybe we don't have access to them, but helicopters are in their own way what many people would consider to be a flying car. And also to Sue's point about control, I think there's a reason why you can't buy a flying car that takes off from your driveway into the sky. And as I've learned, or just really discovered, the governments do not want to give people the ability to move in 3 dimensions. They want to keep us on a 2 dimensional grid, and it's easier to control people and movements. So, do I think that we'll necessarily have cars within that can fly within the next decade or so? I don't. There have been prototypes of these types of vehicles that were seen as too dangerous to give to the common person within society. And thus, I think it's if you do want to be able to travel in 3 dimensions, the helicopter is a flying car type vehicle that you can use if you have the ability to do so. And in terms of what also has been discussed with the tools that we have with AI and robotics and their coming really explosion that we're going to see over the course of the next decade or two and then into the next century, we are at the forefront of something very special, and it depends on how we want to use these types of devices for the betterment of society or the detraction of society. And I hate to say it, but just like with, say, the railroad or the computer, we will have a divide between the haves and the have-nots. And I would like everyone to have the ability to be able to use AI for good. And to Sue's point, maybe this is being sold to us as a good thing, but we don't necessarily control it, and we don't know necessarily who's going to control it. And she's absolutely right with that. The same argument could be made in terms of the internet or in terms of smart devices or computers or even the car. Most people on this earth today, most people don't have a smartphone still, or don't have the internet still, or don't have electricity, or perhaps a car and some of these other developments. So we have to recognize that we are very blessed to be able to just utilize the types of technology that we have. And I think a future society will, for many of these AI institutions or industries, will be based on a credit system. You might get 10 credits a day that you're able to use to be able to plug into ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever it is. But then from there, you're going to need the premium version. There will be gatekeepers at every different level, and I wish it wasn't that way, but it's more of the same that we see in current society. Those people who have the wealth to be able to travel are able to have much more freedom than the people who don't have the wealth. So instead of the Federal Reserve note, which we have today, perhaps in the United States, or the euro, or whatever it may be, the pound, or whatever. In the future, you may have some kind of credit-based system, and it's just more of the same with a different name.
Thank you,
And,
Rabbi.
and Sue, also to you're asking about flying cars. Where are the flying cars? China. They have the electric vertical takeoff and landing vehicle, and it's called an Xpeng Aero HT land aircraft carrier. And there's been a lot of write-ups on. They said in about 10 years, there's going to be a multitude of these flying cars.
Wow. I
People
think
can't
that
even
when you
drive
do
on the
flying
road.
cars,
They're going to be driving in the
you're
air.
gonna, I know, but that's the thing. We're already struggling with people who are taking driver's ed, and now you're gonna have to take some sort of a pilot,
There's
you know,
shit falling out of the
class.
sky constantly.
Yeah. Can you imagine the roof insurance going up and fall on their house?
I actually took lessons to fly a helicopter and to fly a Cessna aircraft, and I did a nice with the airplane, the Cessna. I ran it down the runway. I got it up. I did some
Good.
embankments, and then the pilot next to me, he goes, "Do you want to land it?" And I said, "No." There was something about it. I said you can take over on this part. So he landed it for me, and then on the helicopter, I did really good. I brought it up, I hovered a little bit, and I brought it down lightly. So I did actually. So I actually did better on a helicopter. And the reason why I did that is because my father, at the age of 12, he lived in Lehi, Oklahoma, and he was flying a dust cropper at the age of 12. So I
Wow.
said, if my dad can do that, I should be able to do that. So that's the reason why I did that.
Wow, that's amazing. Boys and girls, we have a teacher here. So as soon as that flying car Paul, we're gonna come to you. You have to teach us, and you cannot charge us. Okay, it has to be free. God help us. So it's okay. I guess we will survive somehow. It is
Oh, yeah.
1:29. Hour and a half goes very fast with each and every one of you. I will mention again to everybody before we leave. I know this is going to sound crazy, but just because it is a very excellent show, I will offer both of you, Rabbi and Miss J, to join us next week. And then we have Dr. Dennis for a week after that. He's going to come and join us and talk about Armageddon and Apocalypse. So it's going to be quite amazing. So you are invited to join us next week. We can continue, go deeper into the rabbit hole of paranormal world and experiences, UFO, extraterrestrial, and the aliens. Everybody in the chat, thank you very much for joining us. Love each other, forgive each other, because you never know. Maybe tomorrow we do fly helicopters and cars and whatever. God help us. I will be the first one to get a speeding ticket. That's usually I don't get a speeding ticket during the winter time. I'm very good. But during the summer, I'm like, oh no, there is a light again. So that's just me. So I don't think I'll be good up there. But I never had a car accident. I'm very proud of that. To knock in my rocking chair. So thank you, everybody. God, amen, sister. Thank you, God, for keeping me safe, for keeping our people safe. God bless you, everybody, and we'll see you next week at 5:30 p.m. Be happy, be safe, and love another. God bless you all. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Good night.
Born from shadow, sealed in truth, ancient blood, but faith rooted proof. History whispers, legends pretend. She chose the